Hello, hello. All right, thanks everybody. I had to delete the first one that I set up there because the camera setting wasn't right and it wouldn't allow me to go in and adjust the settings. So you have to delete and start all over, which is pretty stupid. But this is trial number 2, so still learning everything here. But hope you guys are all doing well. Just getting my setup going. Need to adjust my microphone here. All right. So I thought I'd lead off today. We'll just kind of jump into questions when everybody's ready. Good afternoon. But if you haven't checked on the market today, it is just barely up, the NASDAQ 0.28%. But the big news, in my opinion, was e-commerce. Just jumped crazy today, including a stock that I own, which is Etsy. And Etsy was up 12%. Still fiddling with the camera, sorry. Etsy was up 12% here today alone, which is pretty amazing. And there was some other ones that rode right along with it. I'll give you some names here. I believe, where is my little list? Oh, well, it was Etsy. It was, gosh, that really makes me mad. Let me see if I can find it real quick. There's a whole basket of them. Ironically, it wasn't Amazon, which was hilarious. Here's my list. Etsy, Jumia, Technologies, Fiverr, Wayfair, Chewy, Farfetch, Carvana, eBay, Mercado Libre, and Overstock were all higher today, notably higher today. And in that whole bunch, which was sort of an e-commerce theme, Amazon was actually down a little bit for some of the day and finished only up 0.21%. So I was getting excited there for a second because I was having these dreams of getting Amazon for under 3K, and it didn't happen. But I'll keep waiting for a minute so I can add to my position there. So that's my kickoff for now, and I'll kind of jump in to the questions, which is really what I'm trying to do here, guys. I know these are really random live streams, but I'm trying to test, trying to answer some questions, and hopefully over time I will get better at scheduling these. So right now it's just based on like, hey, like today I've got about 40 minutes, and I was like, I'll just jump on and see what everybody's doing. The first question that I see, is this a bubble for Etsy? I was shocked. I was shocked. I don't know if I'd buy Etsy here on a new position, but obviously the sentiment is that fourth quarter is going to be big for them, which I'm not really surprised, right? We know e-commerce was going to be big for the holiday season just because stores weren't open as much. And I think that Etsy has a really unique offering, particularly with personalized gifts and artistic type gifts. And it's becoming so much bigger than that I would imagine their fourth quarter is going to be huge. However, with this price run up today, if they don't hit on that, wow, they're going to go down. But I believe in them for the long term. This money picture, $100 bill picture, is from Etsy, and I just got it like 2 weeks ago. So I have been looking to kind of spruce up the background a little bit, and I used it as an opportunity to sign up as an account holder for Etsy, and I ordered it, and it came from a guy, I believe he was in the UK, and it was awesome shipping, awesome wrapping. all those things. So I put Etsy to the test since I'm always sort of touting it here on the channel, and it came through, and that guy sent it over to the United States. I got it in like 10 days, which was incredible. And the way they had it wrapped up and stuff, it was great. So that's just one experience from Etsy, but I was certainly happy with what I received. Okay, going down, Walmart, Home Depot. Yeah, people forget with Walmart, but you should really pay attention to Walmart right now. With their e-commerce game is really ramping up. They announced they purchased, or they're going to launch some sort of fintech sort of app to serve their community by the same makers or investors as Robinhood. I think it's going to be more like personal finance instead of stocks, with personal finance being like loans and check deposits and stuff like that. But Walmart, they're so big that it's hard to move the stock, but they are making a play. And if you go to just look up like Walmart e-commerce and read some of the analyst reports on the stuff that they have coming down the pipeline, and it's pretty impressive. I mean, is it going to take over Amazon? Probably not. But their retail store footprint combined with e-commerce could be massive for their opportunity. And you mentioned, Kang, you mentioned Home Depot. I love Home Depot. I don't own it as a standalone stock, but I do have a decent amount of exposure in ETFs. It's just amazing company. And while people don't think of them as e-commerce, what's going on right now is a lot of these folks who are like contractors, the guys that paint your house or do plumbing or whatever, they're using that Home Depot app. Let's just say I'm remodeling your bathroom. I get there and I forget something. I use the app to put in, say, an order for PVC pipe, and I just go pick it up at the store. So Home Depot's e-commerce is super under the radar. People think it's just a walk in and pick out store. That's not the case. If you need to ever look for hardware, like stuff that you wouldn't normally buy online, it's really cool how they've set it up, because they tell you like what aisle it's in, what bay it's in. They've done a great job. So I'm with you on Walmart and Home Depot. All right, next question. What is your current view on AMAT? Probably nothing, because I've never heard of it. But Applied Materials. Sorry. It's still like, I kind of consider this like industrials, and I don't know, it's more semiconductor. Manufacturing equipment, services, and software to semiconductor. Okay. Sorry, I don't follow it, but semiconductors in 2021, I'm more of a Taiwan semi guy. 2021 is a massive year for semiconductors. So I would imagine, without having studied their fundamentals, that they're going to be on the upside in 2021, because the whole sector is. And after 21, though, I wonder what's going to happen, right? Because we had this huge boost in sales of computers, phones, everything electronic. And there's a massive backlog of semiconductors, as well as other parts and supplies for computing boxes. And it makes me wonder if we pull that, is that all pulled up? We get through that backlog in 2021. Does it mean that 2022 kind of has negative comps? And if so, there could be a little bit of risk for semiconductors in 2022 to come down or have a dip. Very cyclical industry. Pick any semiconductor stock. I'm on Applied Materials right now, and I'm on their 5-year chart. And December of 18 was down. Obviously, the crash, and 5 years isn't going to do a good job on this, but it's a long up cycle and then a slow down cycle for semiconductors. It's like everybody plows in and buys new gadgets and whatnot, and then things kind of like fizzle out for a year or so until the next models and things come out. So just know that 2022 for semiconductors could potentially be a negative comp year, and I would expect to see prices come down if that's the case. Moderna stock. I'm not in medical. Sorry, I've tried. I'm not smart enough. If you've ever read a medical quarterly report, I mean, I'm just not smart enough. So I stay out. I do have exposure for anybody who's in QQQ. I don't do S&P 500, but QQQ ARC, as far as the genomics and stuff that they do, those people are way smarter than me. I don't even pretend to know what's going on in that world. QuantumScape is brought up here, and QuantumScape is really interesting, and I had a lot of fun reading about it. It boggles my mind, though, that there's no product till 2024. So hard for me to get behind, me personally, but I can understand the people that have read the articles about the long life batteries and stuff, and I can understand why they're excited. But for me, man, you haven't even made anything yet, so I'm out. American Tower has been dropping for months, but I agree. I haven't looked at it in a long time. It is in a REIT, a dividend REIT that I have in my retirement, and I got it almost specifically because of this and one of the database plays. But I can't imagine that there's anything wrong with this one over the long term. The only thing, it does look like, now that I bring it up, it does look like Q1, Q2, and Q3 all missed their earnings by some margin in there. So I would just say dig into the quarterlies, and this might be a time to buy, depending on what the expectation is. Just try to figure out what is the reason they've missed 3 straight quarters of earnings, because that's what's dragging this down. And if it seems like it's a short-term pandemic-related issue, then you may have yourself a good opportunity to hop in and try to get back to what it was trading at, which was in the neighborhood of 220s. And you still get that dividend, right? So I like the concept of the company, but I don't follow them from a news standpoint. Okay, Visa down again. I know, Visa down. All I gotta say about Visa, I still love it. I'm not selling it. It's my number one position. This is what we're waiting on in Visa, right? It's a one word, and it's very simple. It's travel. We need vacations. We need business travel. We need cross-border travel. That probably isn't going to happen probably until April, May. But as soon as it does, Visa's back in the game. In the meantime, they're counting on e-commerce to do more than travel, and that's just not going to happen. So I do believe, if you've ever thought about Visa, particularly on a red day, it's a great day to buy some shares for the very long 3 to 5 years. It's a great company. They have a lot going for them, but they do rely on travel business to power a lot of their profits. NEO price target. It's not the right channel for that. Unfortunately, Raj, sorry. I don't invest in NEO, and honestly, I don't invest in Chinese stocks, so I'm going to skip it. Nobody can put an accurate price on NEO. That correct on that one. I've used Walmart. Good call. Great info. Keep going. Thank you. Why is Airbnb up today? Well, I haven't looked at that one today. Up 8%. I don't necessarily know for sure why, but I will say that in the short-term world of travel, I think Airbnb is going to be one of the first winners that they'll win before hotels do, just because of that safety barrier of having your own house to rent a house or whatnot. It reminds me, though, that I wanted to talk about travel for a second today. I'm going to do a video on this. Maybe that'll be the video for tomorrow. I'm not sure because I got to read a bunch of stuff to get it out. But if you guys are getting in on these travel stocks, they're coming around fast. They're coming back around fast. So and I'm talking about airlines and hotels and all that. Gosh, there's a ton of these companies have massive, massive debt loads. And I'm not saying that they're going bankrupt, okay? But what I would encourage you to do before you get excited about a cruise line or a hotel is just make sure that these are companies that are going to be able to manage a slow return in growth at the same time as they're about to get some big bills for their debts. And it's a riskier than you would think. I would say that in this opportunity that we have with this market, I don't think like a bounce back to par in travel is going to be worth you overlooking some of the growth names that are doing it without the debt. That would be my take anyway. But everybody's got to do what they got to do. But just watch out. I'll do a video on it just to give you some examples so that you get some idea what I'm talking about. MP Materials. I don't think that's one. I don't do many industrials. So if it's some industrials, there's some older guys in my neighborhood that love industrials. And I'm just like, I can't even figure it out. Like, it's just hard. Rare earth mining and processing facilities. Sorry, Raj, I'm 0 for 2 with you. Just not a game that I play. I will tell you that mining stocks in general are sketchy. And I don't know this one particularly, but I would say that outside of the top 5% of mining stocks, that you should be very, very careful because it's just a lot easier to own the asset. Like, why would I buy a gold miner instead of just buying gold? Like, I've never really understood that sentiment because you're banking on a very expensive industry. And if you've ever watched those guys on Discovery Channel, Gold Rush or whatever it is, shit, they spend 99% of their budget to get 1% of gold out of the earth. Like, it's nuts. It's too costly. It's too risky. And then as soon as the price for gold goes up or down, or worse, goes down, the whole operation's not profitable. So my take on mining is buy the asset. If you like lithium because of batteries, go buy lithium. Go buy gold if you like gold. But I'm not saying you can't make money in mining stocks. That's just my 2 cents on it. What is your opinion on which stocks industries will best perform with new president? I don't know if there's going to be like a massive change with the new president. Certainly not in the first year. Obviously, everyone thinks that green energy is going to go through the roof. Green energy type solar stocks are so hot right now. I think that they will perform better in this environment. But if everyone thinks that Biden sits in a chair and all of a sudden like green energy goes through the roof, like, that's not going to happen. It's going to take him and his legislation, a year or 2 plus to get going. So I think the sentiment for green energy with Biden is accurate. The actual extension of green energy initiatives, tax credits, stuff like that, it's a whole nother year away. It's not going to be on my taxes this year. So what I'm trying to say is, in America, we're getting ready to file our taxes before April, and Biden will be in office by then, but there's not going to be any tax initiatives at that point. Frankly, he's probably going to spend a year untying some of the changes that Donald Trump made as far as mining for oil, stuff like that. So that green energy, yes, in the long term. Don't overpay because it's going to take them 2 years to get enough new policies in place to make green energy a slam dunk. However, it's definitely something to put on your radar. Other industries that might do well, it's easier to think about the ones that won't, to be honest, and that would be defense. That would probably be oil, although oil's so low that, I mean, how much lower can it go? And I think big tech and data-driven kind of companies have a little bit of risk to them under the new president, but we'll have to see. Outside of that, I would worry more about playing a pandemic bounce back than I would playing like Biden's president. I mean, that would be my two things. Pumpkin Patrol on weed stocks. Yep. And I think you're answering to King Whale, and that's probably something there. I think the weed stuff's an eventuality. I don't own any right now, and I think I've said this before, mostly because I haven't seen a differentiator in there. I haven't seen like this company will have 50% of the market. I don't see that. And so now you're just talking about consumer packaged goods, and whether you like Kellogg or Procter and Gamble, like that's pretty much where we're at with weed right now. But we'll see. Somebody could come out and invent some new recipe or something. I don't know, but I have yet to see it myself. Also interested in thoughts on lack of rocket. Dude, I'm telling you, zero communications from management. Everything you just said, 50% of your portfolio in rocket, underwhelming, totally agree. Can't argue it. I don't have 50%, but I have a nice holding. And you guys might have heard me say before, like, I'm waiting. Here's what's going to happen in the January earnings reports for every company, and Rocket will be in this game too. We had a situation last year with the pandemic where nobody was on the hook to predict earnings, right? Every company said the same thing. In the pandemic environment, we cannot speculate on future earnings. That's over. That's over now. Wall Street wants to have earnings estimates. So Rocket is amongst a zillion companies that's going to have to come out and say, we think our EPS is going to be X, Y, Z. This year, we think quarterly earnings are going to be X, Y, Z. And if they don't, Wall Street's going to be upset. And I think with Rocket, you hit the nail on the head. They have been very quiet, disappointing, and the stock keeps trickling down by a couple pennies every day. I'm not personally going anywhere, but if I was in your shoes with 50%, I guess it's hard not to wait till the spring when the housing market turns around. It's hard not to wait at least until Q1 earnings. Let me see if I can get a date for you. No earnings date yet. But you can just assume it's going to be, around the first week of February. It's hard not to wait for that just to see what happens because you're so close. I guess, so that's my 2 cents. Wait for the earnings call. I think it'll be good, but everything you say is true. So sorry. Raj, Roku, still a good buy. Hey, Raj, you picked something I know something about for the first time. Just good news. And is it hot? I don't have a position in Rocket, and I'd be hesitant to start one at the current situation. But I do think, or did I say Rocket? I meant to say Roku. I do not have a position in Roku. And in the current situation, I'm just looking, there's no PE, obviously. But even on just simple price to sales, they're up another couple notches. If you're going to hold for 5 years, why not? Right? If you're going to hold for 5 years, that's always going to be the dividing line on my channel with other people's channels, right? And that is, if you're talking about an infinite hold, there you just buy whatever you want to. I don't like to be pigeonholed into a 5-year hold. I want to make some bit of return in my first 6 months so that next year, if I want to get out of Roku because something else came along, then I should have that option. I don't have an endless amount of money. So I look at things a little different. It's like a long-term outlook with a short-term prospect. I want to see gains as soon as I invest my money. So with that being said, I think Roku, I would be inclined to wait for a broader market dip to see if I could save $40, $50. Maybe that's pushing it. But I would certainly want to see it in the 300s, 390 or something. And that way I feel good that at least in the short term, I'm going to be above the waterline. And then if I choose to hold it for 5 years, great. I'm just going to make more. But if I want to get out of it after a year, then so be it. That kind of parlays a little bit into my Rocket position that we were just talking about, Rocket Mortgage. I granularly manage that cost basis. It's like $19.75. So whatever we landed at today, 1962, I'm only a few cents down. So it's not good because I'm not making as much as I thought I would, but I'm also not like massively underwater. If I bought at 25, my opinion would be a lot different, but I'm always trying to like wait till the right time. And that costs me money too, but I'm just trying to share with you, my 2 cents on stuff. Any feedback? We talked about Rocket. Will PayPal get me a Lambo? Probably not this year. Probably not. However, I'm a big PayPal fan. And that's another one that the earnings are going to tell the tale for 2021. I love PayPal. I don't mind it at its current price like everything else. It's run up seemingly another 10% for no explainable reason. So we will see what the earnings say, but I'm in PayPal for long. I love it. You can watch my videos. I got a million reasons why, but it's probably not a Lambo stock. What are your thoughts on tech industry and controversy? I think it all settles down. I don't think like the politics with technology is going to be a big deal eventually in America. I think we're in an incredibly ridiculous transition process. And even if you took like Facebook, if you're going to shut down Facebook or break up Facebook, you're actually going to be hurting more small businesses than you're going to be helping in terms of data privacy and all that. I think it settles down. And I think with Biden, any sort of Facebook, Google, whatever is going to be more likely to help his administration, as like whatever, making meeting in the middle on certain things and helping with certain capital projects that they need technology expertise. So I think in America it fizzles out. Doesn't mean that there won't be pockets of concern, but I don't think long term it's going to be a problem. SG Blocks, I don't know that one. SG Blocks Incorporated, $7, $6.86. This is container-based structures. I don't know this one, but I have seen the movement to redesign shipping containers for other purposes, particularly ones that have reached the end of their life span. I mean, it's a green energy play, right? I would just make sure that you dig in to whatever their investor deck is, because I'd have a shit ton of questions myself about, how many can we sell? How does it get, how much does it cost to turn it into something? How do people order it? What do they put on it? It sounds like, to me, it sounds like there's a lot of limiting factors, but just as a speculation play, it might be worth it, but dig in to the investor report on that one. SQ versus PayPal. So SQ will probably go up more than PayPal, but I think PayPal is a better company. I'll tell you that much. However, I did turn myself around on Square. I was a bear, and I joined the bull front on Square at the end of last year. I will add more positions of Square, mostly, almost entirely because of Cash App. But I think PayPal is a wider company. I think PayPal has bigger relationships in the monetary world that'll help them down the line. Lizzie says, price is so high. What is a good ETF? 5K right now. VTI and VJT. So one thing right off the bat that you said, with prices so high, where should I put 5K right now? I wouldn't be in a hurry. And what I would probably do if I were you, I think you're doing good with the Vanguards, with the low cost. Don't get obsessed with cost. Look very strongly at the QQQ, would be my take. Talk to your friends, talk to other people. I love the QQQ. It's the top 100 NASDAQ stocks. It will have a slightly higher expense fee than Vanguard will. But you will also notice that the performance over time has been different. And then last but not least, if I had the 5K, I would probably chunk it out across 3 to 4 to 6 weeks, right? $1,000 a week for 5 weeks, every Tuesday at lunchtime, if you want to do it that way. But I don't think you got to jump in. And if you're down to 5K left to invest, what's the hurry? What's the difference? 6 weeks, who cares? $1,000 every week, see what happens. SBAC or Charge Point. I don't know enough about these. This EV world is really so convoluted right now. There's just so much news in it. You should if you're going to have a channel about EV stocks, or if you're going to have a channel about the stock market, you should just have one that says like EV stocks only, and because you could spend your entire day reading about them. I would be the one without EV stocks. Switchback Energy. Oh gosh, no matter what it is on these, like, how are you supposed to make a price on them, right? And so that's where I struggle. So I guess I'll just say that I'm the wrong guy for those questions. I think that Switchback, ChargePoint, they all have a reasonable growth case for the future. I don't even know, do all EV cars have the same type of charger, right? Do they, what's at the end of it? Is Tesla's different than Neo's or whatnot? That's where it gets really hard. And so if it's a $5 stock, then, throw 100 on it and throw 100 shares on it and walk away and hope for the best. But otherwise, you're digging in, reading research, reading the internet, and trying to figure out who has the most compelling growth story across a market, not the stock growth story, the sale of units. How does, just to pick on one of those names, Chargeback, right? Let's just pretend that they sell individual charging stations that go into hotels and apartments. Okay, last year, I'll pretend that they sold 200 units. How do they get to 20,000 units? Why would somebody call them instead of calling somebody else, right? That's the kind of mental math you have to put together. What makes their thing so much more attractive in the open market? And I guess that's where I'd leave it. I didn't manage my cost down, and Rocket is 24. That's okay. Dude, there's still time. It just means you have to wait longer. What do you think about Airbus? I know. It's not a bad call. Did Boeing go down? Yesterday, Boeing had another crash, this time in India, and the stock was plus 0.78% today. So I don't understand. I don't understand the market. People just ignored it, but there was a crash. It wasn't the 737 Max, but it was something, and no one cares. They just keep buying the stock. I think Airbus and Boeing are probably both reasonably similar investments in the fact that no one's bought anything out of planes for so long. I think you got money to be made in both of them. And I kind of agree with you that Boeing, their reputation is hurting right now. I wouldn't bet against them necessarily, but why not own both? Is Tesla going to boom? Why not? I mean, we're in whatever territory we're in now. I don't see any reason why it can't go to $6 million. And I seriously, it wouldn't surprise me. PE is too high for tech companies. Yeah, prices, absolutely. How do you evaluate? I love this because I'm with you. And all we can do is wait for the earnings reports. Okay. So you and I are alike. P's are too high for tech companies, yet prices keep going up. I'm with you. Hisham, hopefully I said your name right, but I'm with you. We have to wait for the earnings reports. It's not that long away. It's 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away. And then we will start to find out who's right. Is it all the people on the street that keep paying more and more and more for these EPS numbers? Or are the companies going to come out and say, whoa, like we're projecting earnings and EPS to be here. The street is paying up here. If those two aren't aligned, then something's going to reset and it's going to be price, right? So I would just say wait for that. Growth generation, I think that's weed. Sorry, I'm looking. Retail, hydroponic, and organic gardening. I mean, I would say growing industry. I haven't followed this one enough to say. It's not up very much over the past year. I'll say that. You got a positive EPS, which is a little bit shocking in the marijuana space. So that's good. And if they really do organic gardening on top of cannabis type gardening, then I'd say that would be something that is a major bonus. To have two different ways to make money, I think it's a great idea. So that's worth investigating. Oh, 26-year-old plane in India. I think I read that myself, actually. Would you consider yourself a value investor? Probably closer to that than just sheer unadulterated growth at any cost. I think anybody who frets slightly about price is a value investor. So I'd put myself in that game. The only difference is that I don't need to have, I don't have a hard line value target, right? So sometimes when I hear the term value investor, I think of somebody who will only buy stocks that are below their 52-week average or whatever. That's not necessarily me, but I do look for how the market's trading as a whole and whether or not I think I'm getting a good price today on a stock relative to how it's performed recently. So hopefully that helps. All right, and let's people asking, is Salesforce oversold, undervalued right now? I don't know what happened to Salesforce here this week. Let me see that. It did go way down. Well, not way down, but from a statistical standpoint, it looks like the PE is inching closer to where it was trading, in July of 2019. So that's a good thing in today's market. It'll be interesting to see their earnings and how they project stuff to come out. I'm seeing, one second here. Let's see what they got for next year. Oh, you know what it is? The average EPS estimate for next year goes down quite a bit. Excuse me, it goes from $4.60 to $3.50. So either sales are supposed to take a negative turn, which is exactly what it looks like to me. Earnings, or they're about to incur some costs to expand into another area. So that's why it's going down, because the 2022 numbers look to be soft, at least right now. So maybe they'll be able to clear up some of that on their investor report. All right, guys, that is it for this one. A quick live stream. I just wanted to come in because I had an extra hour at the end of the day. Hope you enjoyed this. And of course, please give the channel a like and subscribe. Makes a big difference. Be doing a lot more of these. Hopefully next time I'll book like 2 hours. And but anyway, thanks guys for all the support, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.